What's up, you guys? This is Devin from CenturyFX Studios, and we're back with another video. Today we're going to be talking about old branded gear that you can buy for your camera. Alright, for those of you who don't know, or if you're new to photography, you probably don't understand that there's probably some newer gear that the manufacturer is going to peddle to you that they have already done before. They've already recycled. They've already made almost an exact copy, just older and with less functionality. It may not have Wi-Fi or GPS, or it may not be able to connect to the internet, but as far as functionality is concerned, to get you the same product, it does the exact same thing for 90% of its functionality. Or whatever it was designed to do, it can still do. For example, this is the Yongnuo 600EX RT flash. Really new flash. I bought it third party, but this is the third party flash. It also does almost exactly what the Canon 600 series does, which is a radio slave. It can be a master to a flash that has the same brand and the same modeling, the same pretty much inner workings. It can master that flash, tell that flash what to do, understand how much power is going to that flash, and tell that flash to up its power or lower its power depending on what situation you're in. So this is a neat little thing where it's I think 1/6 of the Canon price. I'm not sure, but it's $100. A Canon flash would be like $600, $700 maybe even. Canon has some of the most advanced technology in the speedlight industry, and as the example, the speedlight is one of the most niftiest things you can purchase. So you want to buy the Canon brand, but you don't have the money for the Canon brand, so you get the third-party brand. Or another option, like I said, is to get the older version of that same brand. So Canon has a lot of flashes, a lot of speed lights. Canon also has a 600EX version of their flash with the radio slave, right? Well, they also have an older version, the 550 version EX Mark 1, I guess you could say. It just says EX on it, but the 550EX also has this ETTL mode on it, and it has a high powered flash on it. It can do so many things that normal flashes or speed lights that you get today can do. But the difference between that 550 flash and the 600EX RT that just came out yesterday, probably, I'm just exaggerating, but the difference between those two flashes are the price. You could probably pick up a used 550EX Mark 1 made like 10 years ago or something like that for $75. Where if you go to the newest Canon flash, the one that they show, the one that they want you to buy, the one that they advertise the most for, probably there's another one out that's like $400 and it has this auto rotating on it. There's a whole bunch of flashes that they're going to get you to buy, but those flashes are going to be $400, $500, $600, maybe even close to $900 just for a flash. And don't think about getting a modifier for it, because no one really uses these flash just by themselves. But if you were to buy a flash that you say the newest flash on the market, you can buy that thing $600, $700. You want to buy modifiers for it and things of that nature, it's going to be another $100, $200, $300 depending on what you buy for that speed light. So you buy cheaper, you go to the cheapest version you can find. It's going to be used, and you do have a margin of error that's higher on these flashes because it's used. Somebody else has put their own mileage on it. Hopefully it works, but usually Amazon is good at telling you whether it works or not, depending on where you buy it from. Whether it be Craigslist, just you have a higher margin of error with things like that. But if you buy the 550 version of that flash with almost the same amount of power, it may not recycle as fast, but I don't know if that's a plus or minus for you. Depending on what you're doing, you can buy a cheaper model and get the same amount, get the same ability for a cheaper price. Like I said before, guys, this is not a new concept to most people who have been in the photography game for a while. You can always buy a super old version of what you're trying to buy today and get some comparable results out of it. Whether it be a speed light, whether it be a camera, whether it be some modifiers or something like that, it's not a big difference. Would you rather have the ability to do something, or just the brand newest thing and lose out on, almost twice, maybe even more of the money? When you could be spending all that money on modifiers, flash tubes, and different things, stands and backdrops and all the other stuff that makes your photography even 10 times better and look a lot different than you started. Let's take another example. Cameras. Well, I've been using the Canon 7D Mark 1 for almost 8 years now. Yeah, whatever it came out, but I've been using the 7D Mark 1 for a long time now. And it doesn't have dual pixel autofocus. It doesn't have all the things that the newer cameras have. But one thing it has, and it's still one of the fastest cameras in the world in this category, is a high burst rate. That 7 frames a second is still something you can't get on a lot of new cameras. Now, the image quality will falter in any kind of low light situation. So don't shoot over ISO 320 with that thing, or you're going to be looking at something that's cell phone quality. But if you actually shoot 8 frames a second, you can have a better chance at getting a shot than somebody with a slower full frame camera trucking a lot more megapixels. Megapixels seem to be the thing now, but burst rates, you don't get a lot of those in a lot of newer cameras. You don't get a higher, faster burst rate. You don't get 10 frames a second in a lot of newer cameras. Now, Sony has really killed the game with that, but with Nikon and Canon and most of the popular brands that you've already invested in that you probably don't want to switch to Sony for, they don't have a lot of fast cameras that go all the way up to 8 frames a second and have dual processors in them, so that processes the image faster. So if you're a sports photographer and you need a camera that can give you 8 frames a second instead of missing the moment, the 7D Mark I is still a viable choice if you have it in good light. It still gives you something that the newer cameras can't give you, and it's cheaper. You probably find it $200, $300 on the web now without a flash, and you probably already have lenses for it if you're looking for a 7D. But if you're not, it's still going to be cheaper than any other 7D Mark II or Mark III, because you know that's coming out pretty soon, version of the camera. So this is some of the things to think about. As long as you're in a nice lit situation and you have the 7D Mark I, you still have that 8 frames a second, and it's still an 18 megapixel sensor. Well, you know, megapixels is the name of the game for some people, but if you're not shooting National Geographic images, I don't see why the 7D Mark I can't work for you. A lot of people do not want to pay the full price for photography now. Why? Because we have smartphones. Photography is the most popular than it's ever been in history, but it still devalues the photographer. A lot of people question whether we even need photographers nowadays, and that makes my heart just quiver. But at the end of the day, this is something to think about, especially when you're trying to save a buck here or there, especially when people don't want to value the prices that you give them. You got to save some money somewhere to keep your business afloat, and you can buy older equipment, used equipment, or third-party equipment, and this is another way to get past the obstacles in photography. I'm done with CenturyFX Studios. I want to thank Kirk, my boy Kirk, for helping me come up with the topic for this video today. Happy 4th of July. I made this video on 4th of July. You might notice that I'm in my muscle shirt or tank top, whatever you want to call it, tank top tee, whatever it is. But I'm doing this because I had to cut off my air conditioner so you guys could have good audio quality, so nobody's complaining about, oh, I hear a whole bunch of humming in the background. What is that humming? Cut it off. I know how you guys like to complain about the lighting and this and that. I'm trying to fix everything. I got a nice main light here. I got a field overhead hair light kind of thing situation going on there, and I'm trying to add to my video repertoire. I'm trying to do more video chats out of my car. Roadside chats is what I call them. And I'm coming up with some more videos this weekend. I'm going to be busy filming videos all weekend. This is a light video. This is a light weekend for me. I'm gonna have to go to work as much this weekend because everybody's on vacation. So I'll be able to provide you guys more videos. All right, guys, I'm done with CenturyFX Studios, and I solemnly swear to take better care of my photography gear. You can actually use these flashes, and I got some cobwebs on this one. You can actually use these flashes, but you typically bounce. Spiderweb on it. We were using this. We'll use this in the spiderweb area. Anyway. It had a whole bunch of spider webs on this thing. It's crazy. All right, but you usually buy these with reflector panels or some kind of bouncer or diffuser because this is